Alright, welcome to part 3 of your homework for Saturday. This is the first reading passage, the Tunguska fireball. Personally, I thought this passage was relatively easy, but it looks like Class A had other ideas. Some of them thought it was really hard. And I think you guys thought the same too. So, let's go over this reading passage, right? Again, all reading questions follow the same steps. Step 1, find the keyword. Must always do that no matter what. Step 2, locate it in the passage. And this is where people have trouble because it's not always the same word, right? Maybe synonym or similar phrase. So for example, if the question is asking, something like find happy in the passage could say something like jubilant, right? That means happy, but it's a different word. So it's a little bit hard for people to understand. And then once you do that, answer the question, right? It's as easy as pie. 3 steps. All right, so let's put those steps into action in this first question, which is a detail question, by the way. So that's the topic, detail. So what's the keyword? What evidence best indicated location of the blast? That is the keyword. So we go back into the passage and find where it talks about the location of the blast. And again, the keyword is not always the same word. So this technically doesn't say the location, but instead it says this. Kulik discovered a vast region of scorched and downed trees, their trunks pointing away from the center of the blast. So although this question doesn't say the location, it does tell you that the center of the blast was found because of the trees, right? So note how the keyword isn't here, but a phrase similar to the keyword is. So the answer for 10 is H. This one's really easy. Please don't get questions like these wrong, right? None of these other answer choices are evidence of the blast. Okay, if it's not in the story, don't choose it. 11. What kind of question is this? This is a detail question. Okay, so same thing. Find the keyword. June 30. Located in the passage. Says it right here, but this doesn't talk about scientists like it says in the question, so we ignore this. We have to find where it says June 30 and scientists, right? Because that's what the question asks. And that is here. For many years, Russian scientists believed that the Tunguska fireball was a comet, cluster of dust and frozen gases that had exploded a few hundred feet above the ground. They pointed to a lack of meteoric evidence and the June 30th date, a time of year when Earth was passing through cometary debris. So clearly, the answer is A, because it talks about comets. Oh, by the way, if you don't know how your explanation should look like, it should look like this. So, the answer is found in paragraph. What paragraph was this? Paragraph 4, lines 1 to 2. At least that's how my explanations are. Maybe your explanations are different, but you should explain it in a way that makes you understand the question, right? If you don't understand the question, that is the worst thing that can happen. The best way to improve is to learn from your mistakes. So if you're just writing, garbage on your explanation sheets, that doesn't help you. I'm doing this so you can improve. If you don't care, That's fine. You're going to score low on the SHST, but if you truly care and want to improve, please explain well. 12. What kind of question is this? This is another detailed question. And again, most reading passage questions are going to be detailed questions, all right? So, same thing. Step 1. Find the keyword. Galley's analysis of tree resin. Go back to the passage and find where it says that. And it says it right here. They analyzed the particles trapped in the tree resins, and the results were remarkable. So, what specifically about tree resins does it talk about? Here it says that, and remember, even if you found the keyword, you still have to look around the passage. You have to look at the next sentence or the sentence before, right? So it doesn't say anything specific about the tree resin in this particular sentence, but in the next sentence it does. Next sentence, it talks about how there was high level of copper, gold, and nickel, which is 10 times more than resin dating from that time period. So what's the answer choice here? Answer choice here is that certain elements were unusually abundant around the time of the blast, right? So copper, gold, all these things were really high, even though they shouldn't have been. Another easy question. Just reading the passage, right? Following these 3 steps. See, these 3 questions we went over all follow the same steps and were pretty easy, right? They were right in the passage. I'm telling you guys, it is so easy to get these kinds of questions right. It's a free 3 points, right? Yet you guys keep making the same mistakes of not reading carefully. So please read carefully. 13. Based on the passage, what is the most likely reason it took 19 years? So the keyword is 19 years from the date of the explosion before scientists first visit the Tunguska site. So this is an inference question. So it's a little bit harder than the previous 3 questions we went over. So first, the steps are the same. We find the keyword and go back to the passage and see where it talks about 19 years. So technically, it doesn't say 19 years in the passage. This is where inference questions get tricky. They don't actually say the words that are in the passage, right? Instead, we have to use context clues and our own intuition, our own brain, to find where it says 19 years, right? So it's actually here, not until 1927, because 1927 is 19 years away from 1908, right? So even though it doesn't say 19 years, I used my brain to connect the dots, right? Please do that on the actual test. So it says not until 1927 did a scientific expedition led by Russian scientist Leonid Kulik reach the remote site. So what is important about this sentence is the remote site, right? Remote means located far away from civilization. So the reason they didn't find it beforehand was because the site was far from civilization and difficult to reach. All right? All of the other sentences don't make sense. A particularly does not make sense at all. D also does not make sense. If you chose C, I get it, but at the same time, it doesn't say that in the passage. So B is the only one that is said in the passage. Question 14. Same thing, except this is a main idea question, but you still follow the same steps. Step 1, and you should all know this by now. Find the keywords. Whoops. So keywords are paragraph 1 and structure of the passage. So we go back to paragraph 1, and this time instead of finding the keywords in paragraph 1, we want to find the main idea of paragraph 1. What is the main idea of paragraph 1? Well, the main idea of paragraph 1, and I'm not going to head back, you head back on your own packet, but paragraph 1 tells you the magnitude of the explosion. Magnitude means how powerful something is. So if you reread paragraph 1 on your own, it does in fact talk about how powerful the explosion is. The other three don't even make sense. 15. The author most likely includes a series of questions at the end of the last paragraph too. So this is an inference question. So go back to your packet and look at the questions at the end of the last paragraph. You should read that by yourself. I'm not going to read it for you. You do that on your packet. Why does the author ask the questions at the end? Well, if you look at the very last sentence, it states that the Tunguska event was never fully explained, right? So that means D is the correct answer. Again, another easy question. Yeah, that's it for this passage. Again, if you have any further questions, please direct them towards me.